you have been online, you will notice that there's a book that has been trending, this book by Pauline Kea, because it draws a lot of similarities between what seems to be happening in the Kenyan context right now, even though the book was a set book back in 2017. So we want to have a conversation with the author and understand what made her write this book and whether she sees similarities on what's happening in Kenya right now. Karibu, Pauline.
Asante sana, Claire.
Yes. Now, for those who may not have read the book Kigogo, give us a brief synopsis of what the book is, and then we will take the conversation from there.
The book is about leadership, and it's about young people in leadership in Africa, and their role and their place in leadership in Africa, and the change that they're supposed to advocate for and bring in Africa.
Now, the book has been trending in the last couple of months, and people are saying that although the book was written before what Kenya is going through right now, they draw a lot of similarities with what's happening in Kenya. I'd like to find out, what do you think about the current situation that Kenya finds itself in when it comes to leadership and governance, and then we will take the conversation forward from there.
There are things that are mentioned in the book that I can relate with the current situation in Kenya, but it's not only in Kenya, it's actually in Africa. There's a lot of mwangwi. It's a reflection of what is happening in Africa and what happened in the book. Yes, so coming back to Kenya, of course, the things that are happening in Kenya are not so different from what is happening in the rest of Africa. In as far as young people are concerned, the concerns of the Kenyan youth are the same concerns of many other youths in African countries. And one of the biggest concerns, of course, is job opportunity.
Now, your book has been translated into English, and yes, you co-authored that with PLO Lumumba.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah. This is the translation.
Yeah. So the leader. So
the leader.
Let's speak a little bit about some of the issues that are affecting youth when it comes to governance and leadership. So unemployment is one big factor.
Yes.
So in this book, Kigogo, speak to us a little bit more how you tackle that theme of unemployment and then other sub-themes within Kigogo. Then yes, let's relate it to the Kenyan context.
So the young people in Kigogo, the likes of Tunu and Sudis, are actually graduates who have not gotten the kind of employment that they thought they would after graduation. So what do? They actually use their talents. For example, Sudi is a sculptor. Is using his talent to earn a living. All of them are doing things that they can do to earn a living. But the leadership is not right. And so there's not even space to do that little that you can do to earn a living. And that is why the young people now in Kigogo come together for actually a revolution. They want change, and they want it fast. So the leadership in Kigogo, the Kigogo, who is Majoka, is a very old man, and he wants actually to inherit the seat to his son who went abroad to study. And actually, he wants, immediately after the son comes back, he takes over from him. So the young people are wondering, why should leadership, one, remain in one family? And two, why should the leaders just want everything for themselves? Yet they are not giving any leadership to the people of Sagamoyo.
No, it's very interesting that this book was a set book between 2017 and 2021, and that's basically Gen Z. So a lot of Gen Z went through this as one of their set books. And because of those similarities, people are thinking, wow, this has sparked a whole conversation. So I'd like to hear, when you found out that this book is now trending right now, what was your initial thought?
I didn't know this was a thing, a big thing, that would really resonate even today. And, you know, I actually wrote this book in 2013. Yes. And it was published in 2016. Yes, 3 years after.
Yeah.
Yes. And so having it relating to the Gen Zs is a big coincidence. Yes, but again, authors don't write from just nowhere space or from space or from the moon. They write from within. They write from what they feel, they see, the politics of the day, the social life of the day. So I was actually affected by my environment to write this book. That means that what affected me is also affecting the Gen Zs. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They talk about history repeating itself.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
you have mentioned that you wrote it in 2013, then it
Yes.
was published in 2016.
Yes.
And I want us to talk a little bit about that writer and author journey.
Yes.
You know, you've written a lot of academic books. As we were speaking before this, you said you've written 108 books.
Yes.
And I was like, my goodness me, I've just written one book. When will I ever
No,
reach
it's
there?
okay.
But tell me, what has your publishing journey been like? You know, some people argue that in Kenya, the books that succeed most are the ones that are in academia. Then the ones who are not right in that space, they don't always succeed unless maybe you're self-published or so on and so forth. So tell me, what was your thinking when you're writing academic books, and what is the space like for authors who are in academia versus people who are taking a different route?
So the market actually is in the academia, like you said very clearly, because the reading culture in Kenya is not very good. People read for exams. They read a set book so that they can sit an exam that will be from the set. The questions will be from the set book. So if you ask many people actually about Kigogo, if they've read it, they have not read it. They just hear about it, and they know it's a book that really resonates with the Gen Zs, and it's just there, it's a political, they can just, they have never had an interest of reading the book, and it's available, you see? So it's interesting how our reading culture is, but again, maybe our education system also has contributed to that, pushing learners and candidates to just reading for an exam, you see. So that has really affected. But having said that, those who write for fiction, for example, not for academia, just for entertainment or for general readership, the market is very slim. So they might write very good books, but if they are not approved by KICD, they will not get into the academic market. And that is where you can find numbers, because learners are many. So actually the lower the grades, the more the numbers. So children books also have a bigger market than books for maybe university level. Yes.
Wow, the lower
Yes.
the grade, the greater the numbers.
Yes, so the bigger the market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'd like us to talk a little bit more about that, because there's some strategic thinking to that. Because sometimes authors get into this game and they're just like, I'm a good writer, I'm passionate about it, but then have you thought about the marketing element, the sales element?
Yes.
So let's talk about now the context of academia.
Yes.
How does that work? Because, you know, for the self-published route, you publish yourself, you have all ownership, and you get everything out of it, but it's all on you. Now, in the academic sector, in the Kenyan context, how does that work? When a publisher picks up your book, how much in terms, what percentage is the royalty? What is the ownership of the book like, and so on and so forth?
So you have rights for ownership of the book, but the percentage of the royalty, you can negotiate, but most publishers pay 10%. 10% of net. Yeah, a net is a lot of acrobats. Net means marketing, net means the production. So it's very little.
Very little.
Yes.
That's why it's a numbers game.
Yes, it's a game of numbers.
Yeah.
So the lower the grade, the more they'll bias, the better for you. So, and for if you are not self-publishing, what happens is that you are being published by a publisher. So what happens is you write a proposal for whatever project you want to do with them. Maybe it's a revision book. You take it to them. If the proposal passes, they also now agree with you, write an agreement to do the work. After doing the work, you present the work, it's edited, it goes through the editing process, of course sometimes back and forth for corrections and all that. Then in between, when it's almost being published, you do a contract now to agree on the royalty. So the process is like that. It can change a bit depending on individual publishing firms and their policies, but that is how it is. Then when they take that manuscript and they publish it into a book, then they can present it maybe to KICD for approval. Because all of the books, all books now that go into our education system in Kenya must be approved by the KICD. Of course, they've got very good reasons so that we don't just push anything and everything to our learners. So that is how it works. For I have never self-published, never ever, because of fears. Fear number one is the marketing aspect. If you self-publish, when will you market? When will you write? You see, the market out here is also very aggressive because there's competition. So if you want to market your product, you have to be there day in, day out. When will you write?
Let's go back to Kigogo a little bit. You said you wrote it in 2013, but take us through your process as an author. How long did it take you to put the book together? What was the process like? The back and forth? Who were you consulting to ask, okay, does this really look like it's a book that is worth submitting for as a set book, and so on and so forth? Take us through those steps.
When I wrote Kigogo, I actually wrote it alone, and I wrote it in 1 month. I had a feeling that this book will be a set book because I am an educator. I have been through the education system myself. That was 844 as a teacher, in high school teacher, then a teacher trainer. So I had interacted with KICD also as an evaluator of other people's works, you see, to pass them or to evaluate them for set books. So I knew the criteria and what actually is needed. So when I wrote it, I then took it to a publisher. I don't want to mention names. Then they stayed with it for 1 year. Then I went to them and told them, you see, I want this book published. And submission was also nearing. So they said, no, we published another play for another author. I said, fine, can you give me my manuscript? Said, yes, take it. When we need another one, we will call you. I said, yes, then I'll write you another play. Said, yes, I took it. I took it to another publisher. Oh, I forgot. I took it to a publisher. The initial publisher actually told me that they didn't have that in their plan, the quarters. You know, they plan quarterly. They didn't have. Then I went to a second one who said that they had already published someone else's play after staying with the manuscript for 1 year. Then I went to another one, a third publisher. Then they took the work, looked at it. Then at some point, and it is almost submission time, they told me, you see, we actually don't have the muscle to do this. We have other submissions. Can you give us a short story instead? I said, yes. So I again sat and wrote a short story and gave them to put in an anthology. So after that, I took Kigogo to another publisher, a fourth publisher, which is now Story Moja. Then the editor then, even now, I think is a publishing manager now, Fred Obondo, said, this work can be done. It's actually got very excited and said, this is a beautiful play. I will work on it. Then he worked on it in a very short period because submission was almost being done. And after that, then it went through the process very fast and we submitted, and then it became a set book.
I like that. I like the way you give the story of you went through 4 publishers, because sometimes authors are coming up, they submit their manuscripts, they get rejected or they don't hear back from the publisher and they get discouraged. So it's good to know that, you know, this book that is making rounds, you also had a journey through that. So I'd like us to start talking about your early life, because you've talked about being a teacher trainer, and so on and so forth. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. So we know you as an author, but you're also a teacher. So tell us a little bit about your growing up. Where did you grow up? How did you get into the teaching profession and then transition into being an author and so on?
I grew up in a place known as Majimboni, called Majimboni. It's in Shimba Hills in Kwale. Yes, Kwale County. Yes, then that was my early life as a kid. And I went to school around the same place. Then went to Bura Girls, Taita, for my high school. That was up to Oz. I was in the 844, so up to Form 4. Then I came to Kenyatta University to do my first degree, the bachelor's, and then I graduated in the 1996. In the year 2004, I went back to do my master's. Then I graduated in the year 2007. Yes, that's my academic journey. In between the first degree and the master's, I taught at Machakos School. It's in Machakos Town, Machakos Boys School. It's in Machakos Town for 7 years. Then from Machakos Boys, I've been in Kilimambogo for the many other years to date, which is around 20 years. But with leaves in between. I normally take leaves sometimes, leaves of absence, to do some private work. Yes.
Okay, now I'd like us to talk a little bit about the state of writing in Kenya. You know, there are people who feel that the quality of writers has changed from back then, you know. Pauline Kea, we had the Francis Imbugas, the Ngugi wa Thiong'os, and they're just a different breed of writers right now. I'd like to know or hear from you, what is your thought about the people who are coming up now, the current breed of writers? Are they still bringing out the kind of content that is rich and quality-like, or do you feel like it has changed with years?
What I would like to say, I don't want to be very judgmental in terms of the quality of their work, because writing is also need and supply thing of a graph. It has that graph. What they are supplying probably is what is needed by their generation. So I wouldn't want to also be very judgmental in terms of the quality of the work that they are producing. Some of them are very good. I have mentored three young people, and they are coming out very well. Yes, very well. They are very talented, and they are very good at what they are doing. But what the younger generation, younger to mean, of course, younger from me, or younger from my side of view, from my point of view, lack patience. That is one thing that they lack. Writing needs a lot of patience. You will not write one book, like you said, you have one, congratulations, and have a breakthrough with that book. It is like any other creative work. You will not draw one picture and become a Da Vinci. You will not do one song and become a big musician from that. So they lack patience, and when they are rejected by the publishers, they also just give up. Sometimes rejection, like they say, is redirection. Yes, you see, for this to be a set book, it had to be rejected by 3 publishers, serious publishers. I don't want to mention their name, because after, when it became a set book, then they were like, what? What?
Yeah.
It was a set book.
Yeah.
It was a set book kinda material. It would become a set book, really? Yes.
And as I said, I really like when we hear the Kenyan stories, because sometimes people like to refer to outside stories. You know, the people like to always refer to like J.K. Rowling, how many times she was rejected. But you need to hear the Kenyan author who also went through that rejection and got to where he or she is.
Yes.
So now, as you said, many people lack patience, and they're like, I want to write today and I want to become this renowned author and all that, but it takes time. But as you said, there are also different needs for this generation. And so I'd like us to speak a little bit about AI, because you said with Kigogo you took 1 month.
Yes.
But you know, there are authors who are writing a book in 7 days.
Yes.
And that's because AI is powering things a lot faster. So I'd like to hear, as a creative, what are your thoughts about other authors and creatives using AI to help them write books faster? Or do you think that's downgrading the creative process and you should totally just depend on your creativity and your mind?
I really don't mind AI, and if they can use it, the AI tools to do their work, to write, because technology is here to stay. And technology is supposed to make work easy for everyone and in every sector. Yeah, including in our sector as authors. But again, let authors not become lazy. You see, laziness will kill their talents. You can always make a better story than AI. What I could advise them, they can use AI, but if they get the story, then they put their own ideas, feelings, and voice into those stories. It will even be better. Yes.
Okay.
You see? Or they have the story, then they tell AI to improve it. You see, that's another way. You present it to AI and tell it, I have this and this. What can we do? Because it will give you ideas and it keeps on prompting you. Do you think you have anything you want? Yes. But let them not be lazy. Yeah, because if we have just AI writing for us, we will have a lot of reproduction. The stories will be reproduced and reproduced just in another language, because that's what AI does. If you tell AI to give you a story about the tortoise and the hare, it will give you. If someone said searched for the same things, wanted the same assistance, it will also give a story. The stories will just be a little bit different. The language is just a little bit, but the concept is normally duplicated, you see? So why don't you, as an author, so that you remain unique and you remain also creative, you don't kill what you have, and you also grow your creativity and refine it, why don't you try to do it by yourself? When you over-rely on AI as an author, you will lose your creativity. You can go and ask for ideas. Maybe you're doing a research so that you can write. You can go asking questions about a history of something so that you don't become factually wrong. Yeah, so that you don't make factual mistakes as you write your story. Yes.
And even for research, you know, AI can hallucinate. So even if you use it for research, you still need to do your own research.
You also need to also confirm from other sources, from books, from people, if they've done a thesis or something, so that it's so factual. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to know, out of those 108 books that you've written, which one do you love the most? First of all, tell me which one has been most successful, and by successful, I mean which one has made you the most money, and then which one is the closest to you and why? So start with the one that has made you most money.
Okay, it's Kigogo. because it was a set book, and so the readership is big, because it's a must read for those who are going to do an exam. So yes.
Okay. Yes. And the one that is closest to you, for whichever reason, is it still Kigogo, or there's another book that you just?
It's not. It's here. It's
and many of these books here are what you have written.
Yes, what I have written. So There's a Paka Wazena. It's an anthology of baby stories. It's a grade 2. Yes.
And why is it so special to you?
It's a poem story. Paka Wazena, it's a poem story. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually won a Jomo Kenyatta second position award for children's category. Yes,
congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Now, as we start to wrap up this interview, I'd like you to speak to other aspiring authors and even authors that are already in the game. You've said, yes, as a set book, you can be guaranteed money. You don't have to do the marketing and so on and so forth. But for that writer that's coming up, what advice would you give them to be able to really thrive in this industry? And is writing, being an author, a viable thing to do? Is it something that you can live on, or this has to be just one of the things you do and you have to have another source of income?
So let me start with what I can tell young aspiring authors, or already authors who have are coming up or already starting to establish themselves. One, they need to be patient. That in writing, patience is a very important virtue. One, because of the time that you use to sit and think about the story and write. You do a lot of work in the night when it's quiet, when others are sleeping, especially when it is very cold like now. Yes. And so patience, hard work is required. And they also need to consider, before they can stand on their own, co-authoring. They can co-author in anthologies of poetry, in anthologies of stories, short stories, so that they can work as teams to grow as individuals. You see, when you co-author, you get your peers to teach you how to write, because they will edit your work and they will give you corrections. And that way you grow. And peer teaching is very, very effective. So that is one. Two, I would advise them to go slow, not to rush to big pieces of creative works like novels. To start slow, they can start with short stories, short plays, children's stories. A baby does not eat meat when it is 2 months old, you know. You can't chew big when you're not strong enough. They need to go slow so that they can grow with what they are doing. They also need to get mentors. If they can get mentors, it works. If you get a mentor who is willing to hold your hand, you will learn a few tricks, because they have experience. They've gone through all these rejections, and they'll tell you rejection is nothing. Yes, don't give up. You know, this was rejected. Then if I told someone this was rejected 3 times before, then they will say, one rejection is nothing. You see, they also need to look for other people with the same interests and be around them. If you want to be an author, you must be around other people of the same interest. There are bodies like Kenya, which mentors young authors. It's online. They meet once every month. They can join that. You go read other people's work. You bring your work. It's read. It is also analyzed, and it is sometimes even judged. And you grow. You grow. Yes, young people should not go self-publishing. It can be very disappointing. I would advise you can self-publish later when, one, you've gotten yourself a name, a publishing name, so that when you take your product out there, it will sell. But if you're starting, you need to consider getting a publishing firm so that you grow your publishing name first. Then later on you can self-publish when you have a name out there. The publishing firms are many. They are very receptive today because they're in competition. These are not the days when it was only just a few. And it is a good thing because they are now publishing for young people and they want young, you know, we are growing old. So they want young people who have younger brains and who can bring new ideas on the table. Yes, and who can also answer to the needs of the population that we have, a younger generation. You see? So there's it's a very good space now, the publishing space, writing space. It's coming up very well. It's not as closed as it used to be, because authors were like creatures who live elsewhere. I mean, it was just not easy to become an author. Yes, but today it is very easy. I would advise young people to not to give up and to keep on writing. The secret is when you start writing, keep on writing. Don't look back.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
And the element of money is writing somewhere you can depend on fully, or that is now after you've established yourself and written a number of books that you can depend on writing, and you have to have another source of income?
Let me say that in this side of the world, you must have another source of income. Let me be frank. I am a teacher, and that is my main source of income. Writing in our part of the world is not taken as a profession for some weird reason. I don't know whether we now have a university that even offers a degree in writing. I don't know. Creative writing or professional writing. It is very discouraging. Yes, we don't have, at least I know the public universities don't have a course in professional writing or creative writing.
Wow, I think that's an interesting take, because there are people who have different ways in which they think about it. They say that some people, you're a creative, you know, it's inborn, it's something you have. You may not go to school for it. Okay, you can go to school to just enhance it, but it's something that is inborn. The same with acting. There's the method. There's no method to it. You didn't go to school for it, but you just act and it comes out well. So it's an interesting take that, yeah, the professional certifications, but there's the creativity, because you could go to school, but you're just not a creative. So that balance.
But it's okay, I get your point of view. But again, don't you think I would have become a better writer earlier on in my life if I went into such a course? Because I'm sure if I had that option, I would go there. Yes, yeah. I'd go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, something to ponder
over.
You
see, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So that we prepare them early enough. I started to write in 2000 and my first publication was in 2009, and I think I was already over 40 years. Don't you think if my first degree was in creative writing, I would have written before I was 40? Mm. Yes, because actually the business you do in that course is actually to write. Yeah. Most of the projects are writing projects. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so as we come to a close, I'd like you to look into that camera and speak to those people who are fans of Kigogo, who have read this book and they were like, who is this Pauline Kea? They had never heard about you before Kigogo. Speak to them and talk to them. Tell them what you would like them to know about the state of Kenya and what you really hope for the leadership and governance of the country.
So all the Kigogo fans out there, this is Pauline Kea speaking to you. I know you read Kigogo and it inspired some of you to want change in leadership, which is a good thing. But again, what I would say to the young people, clever people change with time. What I would urge young people right now is to think about different methods of bringing change. And method number one is changing themselves and changing their attitudes. You cannot change anything if you have not changed yourself. You cannot save a country, a continent, if you have not saved yourself. Young people today do not want to work. Other young people, some young people today are into drugs. Some young people today are overusing the internet and they are just being swallowed. Africa needs young, hard-working people for them to save their countries and their continent. You need to save yourself from all those negative habits first, then you can think about saving your country and your continent. There's also something else I would want to say, that the Mau Mau used force to remove the white man. Young people need to use other means of removing bad leadership in Africa, not force. Force will not work. You cannot fight people who are in power using force. It will not work. You will not succeed. They will use force also. So young people need to vote this time round. If you want change, get your voter's card, which many young people ignore. First of all, they ignore, they don't have an ID. Come voting time, they have no ID. They delayed. They did not want to wake up early, go and queue to register for an identification card. So then coming to the voting, they have no voter's card. What happens? The leaders that are voted into leadership, they are not leaders of their choice. They start demonstrating. Why should you demonstrate and you did not vote? You need to vote. If you vote right, then the right leaders will come into power. Because power is in the hands of the people. Young people are so many in Kenya. The number is good. If they all decided to vote the leader that they want, that is the leader that will be their leader. If young people wanted to vote a young person into leadership, they have the numbers. They just need to register for the vote, for voting. That is what I would want to say. I would want to tell them, going to the streets, throwing stones, destroying properties that us, their mothers and their fathers, have struggled so hard to get them, to get those shops, to get those buildings. They destroy them. That is not going to work to bring a change. That is just destroying their country and destroying Africa.
Thank you. We've been talking to Pauline Kea, the author of Kigogo and many other books. And as she said, you have the power. And how do you claim your power? You start by voting. This has been Beyond the Headlines. Until next time, have a good one.